Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, June 16th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Two superpowers, one-on-one. President Biden squares off with Russia's Vladimir Putin. What happened in their highly awaited meeting in a moment. But first, just one day after the grand reopening, this reminder from health officials locally and nationwide. COVID-19 and its variants still a major concern. Here's KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman.
California and other states are reopening, but Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officials are now calling the Delta strain that's responsible for thousands of deaths in India a variant of concern. In the UK, the more contagious strain now makes up more than 90% of cases there and is more likely to hospitalize infected people.
Guess what? Mother Nature's telling us what's going to happen. This is going to happen in the United States as well.
Right now, the U.S. Surgeon General estimates the Delta variant only makes up about 10% of cases nationwide.
I expect that will increase substantially in the weeks ahead.
A recent study showed the Pfizer vaccine has nearly 90% protection from the variant when both doses are completed, but the same analysis found just one dose works substantially less at 33%.
So if people have only gotten one dose and they're hesitant, now is a great time to get a second dose.
Rebecca Fielding Miller is an epidemiologist and professor at UC San Diego. She says 75% of San Diegans getting at least their first dose is a huge accomplishment, but
25% of people still haven't gotten vaccinated, and nobody under 12 has been vaccinated.
She says getting to herd immunity is much different than eradicating the virus. Health officials admit that COVID-19 is not going away, and on some level, cases, outbreaks, hospitalizations, and deaths will continue, especially in areas that don't have high levels of vaccination rates.
Every infection is an opportunity for a new variant that could potentially escape the vaccines that we already have, and that would be just terrible to set back all of our hard work that far.
Nationwide, just over half of people aged 12 and over have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
I did what I came to do. That is how President Joe Biden described his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. With relations between the countries described as being at a low point, Emily Schmidt reports on what's at stake.
In an 18th century Geneva chateau, a chance to check the firmness of a 21st century foundation.
This is about how we move from here.
I don't think there was any kind of hostility.
President Biden said earlier this week his plan with Putin was
verify first and then trust.
Trust is strained by issues like Russia's handling of human rights and ransomware attacks in the U.S. launched by Russian-based criminals.
Responsible countries need to take action against criminals who conduct ransomware activities on their territory.
As far as cybersecurity is concerned, we agreed that we would both begin consultations on that issue, and I believe that is extraordinarily important. And obviously, both sides have to assume certain obligations there.
The leaders agreed to return U.S. and Russian ambassadors to their positions. The relationship between countries had been so difficult lately, there was no ambassador in place in Washington or Moscow.
I think that everything to do with the deterioration of our mutual relations was initiated not by us, but by the USA.
I told President Putin my agenda is not against Russia or anyone else. It's for the American people.
The spin on what happened here came from one leader, then the other, each trying to get the last word on the next chapter of U.S.-Russian relations. Emily Schmidt, KPBS News.
Governor Gov Newsom is still urging Californians to get vaccinated. Today, he made it clear not to let up and says he believes his incentives to battle the coronavirus are working.
These incentives have worked. California lays claim to be one of the few states that's actually seen a week-over-week increase in vaccination doses. 1.13 million people received at least a dose of vaccine over the last 7 days.
The governor went on to say it's encouraging to see the reopening. He also urged to, quote, give people hugs. And if you're eligible to get a shot but haven't yet, we have all the information about how and where to get one on our website, kpbs.org. Click on the vaccines link on our homepage to find a location close to you. As California reopens, many people are still trying to figure out what rules remain. And as Armella Argawi reports, some just aren't ready yet to ditch their mask.
I felt rebellious in Trader Joe's right now about the mask.
To wear or not to wear a mask, even though California has now lifted its mask mandate for most businesses, many people are unsure what to do. Mindy Pfeiffer was the only person we saw walking into this Trader Joe's without her mask on.
I felt like everyone was looking at me, and they were, and then I kept looking around like maybe one other person, and I even had to I felt like I had to justify. And even to the checkers, they're like, oh, you're good, you're good. I'm like, I know, but it feels weird.
We talked to other shoppers inside. It appears that a lot of people are looking to others to decide what to do.
I'm going to take mine off.
Dennis told us he was ready to take his mask off 2 weeks ago, but still hasn't.
I probably would have taken it off if there were more than one person. But I think each time that I've come in here, I think I've only seen one person without a mask.
Many more customers inside this Ralph's went in barefaced. The sign at the door says masks required unless you're fully vaccinated. At Lack Nail Salon in North Hollywood, they're not changing the rules just yet. Owner Marina Fermanian says she's waiting for the guidance that comes out of the state's occupational safety meeting Thursday.
We are choosing to keep them as it is, just the same way customers come in with masks on, the staff and employees with masks on.
Fermanian says she's getting mixed reactions from customers. Some say they wouldn't come in unless masks are required, while others say they are ready to take theirs off.
So today I've only been here and a lash place, and they both require masks. If I'm allowed to not wear my mask, I don't want to wear it.
Some places still require masks in California, among them hospitals and medical facilities, K through 12 schools, and indoor childcare, public transportation, as well as private businesses at their discretion, homeless and emergency shelters, as well as cooling centers. As businesses struggle to fill job openings, a new survey suggests workers now have the upper hand in the job market. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne tells us about what some are calling the Great Resignation.
Job fairs, help wanted signs, and signing bonuses are being seen throughout San Diego as businesses rush to hire staff. And all these signs scream new opportunities to all, including people who already have jobs. A new survey says more than 1 in 4 San Diego workers plan to look for a new job in the next couple of months.
This really should be on employers' minds on how do we reduce turnover, right? And turnover is the great resignation. I mean, I think that 1 in 3 people nationwide are probably going to voluntarily quit.
John Astel is a San Diego vice president of Robert Half, a global professional staffing firm that conducted the nationwide survey. San Diegans surveyed said they are looking for a salary boost, career advancement, and flexibility. They also want to work for organizations that align with their personal values. Asdell says employers need to assess what they are offering because people have options now more than ever.
Taking very intentional steps to make sure that people are paid at or above market. They're given the flexibility to do their work when and how and where they want to, if at all possible, and that they feel like they have a plan to get to the next part of their role.
Eric Bruvold is the CEO of the San Diego North Economic Development Council. He says several companies in North County are hiring.
It's a tight labor market, so workers have options, and I think that you'll see workers, look around for things that provide them, opportunities.
One opportunity that could persuade people to make a job change: shorter commutes.
They're great companies that are along the 78 corridor. You don't need to drive 30, 40, 50 minutes and try and fight your way through the merge.
As people explore their options, Bruvold says we will see more changes in the fall as schools and childcare facilities open to full capacities. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
A group of child care providers, parents, and their children gathered at the county administration building today pushing for a pay increase. Child care providers say since the pandemic hit, the number of families signing up, but their expenses have gone up with the new COVID-19 protocols in place. Shantae Brown owns Happy Time Learning Academy in San Diego, and she says it costs about $1,300 per month to operate. She also says it has been hard to hire and keep staff with the minimum wage childcare providers are getting.
They can barely afford their own, their own salary to cover their own bills. So for us to get a raise, it will enable more providers to have more assistants, to have more helpers.
Union leaders say this pay raise will be discussed in Sacramento again tomorrow. As the severe heat continues in San Diego County, people can chill and save money by heading to a cool zone site. KPBS reporter Melissa May visits a few of the sites and encourages people to take advantage of this free opportunity.
El Cajon resident Raymond Gonzalez enjoys his lunch at the Lakeside Community Center.
It's the best thing ever happened. It's the best thing. Any recreation center of this kind, or for this kind of matter, is one of the best, so we can enjoy it and interact with others.
San Diego County is making it even easier to beat the heat. 9 community centers and libraries in some of the hottest areas of the county have been designated cool zones. So if you're looking for some AC and a safe space, just look for one of these signs.
The sites encourage people to share air conditioning during the heat of the day. That's especially important now that the agency running the state's electric grid has issued a flex alert for tomorrow, calling on all Californians to conserve. The Spring Valley Community Center is another cool zone. Joanne McGee is the Parks Recreational Supervisor for San Diego County and sees the impact a cool zone has in East County.
We have a lot of folks that are maybe low income and they can't run their air conditioners, or maybe they don't have air conditioning. So folks can come to the community center. We set our thermostats very cool so you can enjoy reading books or playing cards out of the extreme heat.
Arizona resident Alice Ortiz enjoys the opportunity to participate in activities with air conditioning.
It's really nice to come to the center here because they do have air conditioning, they have things to do for seniors, and they don't have to be so lonely at home.
All locations provide a space to read or play games, and other locations provide movies and computers. This is a great space for people who are working from home without AC.
People that will come in and they set up their remote workstation and they'll hang out here for 5 hours, 6 hours to enjoy the cool temperatures.
And the cool zones serve one other important function.
Some of the benefits is social interaction. We've been without that interaction, that face-to-face experience for well over a year, and so it's a good opportunity for people to come out and really have a safe place to interact with others.
To find the closest cool zone to you, go to coolzones.org or call 800-339-4661. Melissa May, KPBS News.
We could see more fires in the coming months after a very dry spring season. San Diego Fire Rescue presented its 2021 Fire Season Outlook report to the City Council's Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods Committee today. They predict the number of large fires for July and August in San Diego County and surrounding areas will be above normal this year.
When we as firefighters see that golden brown, what it says to us, you're going to have the potential for a large fire, very hot fire. We have winds, they're going to move very quickly, and it's going to be a tough firefight.
State officials are also keeping an eye out for potential blackouts. The California Independent System Operator has issued a flex alert for tomorrow. They're asking people to reduce their electricity use between 5 and 10 p.m. to ease the strain on the power grid.
It's another day of keeping an eye on the possibility of record hot temperatures yet again. Excessive heat warnings still remain in effect, and unfortunately, there is no rain in sight and no relief from this heat in sight anytime soon. Here are all the excessive heat warnings that still remain in effect for a place like Ramona, El Cajon, Borrego Springs, Mount Laguna, all the way through the end of the week. Some of these lasting until Friday night, and some of them last through the weekend. Temperatures for tonight not really cooling off a whole lot. We get down into the mid-60s for Oceanside getting down into the mid-60s in San Diego, but Borrego Springs low 80s, Mount Laguna only getting down into the upper 70s. It's another sizzling hot day out there for your Thursday. Again, that potential record high temperatures will be possible here as we head into your Thursday, and not a whole lot of change even for Friday. So temperatures on Thursday, 77 in Oceanside, 90 in Escondido, 97 in Ramona, Borrego Springs, triple digits out there for you yet again. So get ready. This heat is still going to stick around for another couple of days. You will notice this area of high pressure is going to be weakening here over the next couple of days, and you'll still see some coastal comfort in the form of a marine layer that's going to try to keep things a little bit cooler near the coast, but temperatures still above average for this time of year. You'll notice highs are going to be in the mid to upper 70s, but look at that cool down as we head into next week, back down to 73 degrees for that daytime high, which is back to basically average for this time of year. Further inland, temperatures still in the low to mid 90s through Sunday. And then after that, we finally see a drop off back down into the upper 80s. Still in the mountains, pretty toasty out there. We'll see a drop off potentially on Sunday into the 70s, but Monday still looking warm out there. The desert southwest remains very, very hot. No relief in sight from that triple digit heat. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
San Diego conservationists are asking the city to do more to protect sea lion pups along the La Jolla shore. Here's KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson.
The marine mammals have been giving birth at the La Jolla Rookery since Memorial Day, and the summer crowds are drawn to the sight of sea lion moms and their pups.
So we're looking at thousands of people in one day alone viewing this and enjoying it, but at the same time, they have no idea that they should not be down there touching and trying to get selfies.
The pups can't swim for the first few months of life, so they live on the rocky shoreline. Federal rules prohibit the harassment of marine mammals, but not everyone knows the rules. People who volunteer to monitor the rookery are ripe with stories of up-close encounters between sea lions and people.
You get too close to a mother or a bull, and that's 300 pounds coming at you. So sometimes people don't realize the risk they're taking just getting close to them.
A San Diego City councilman promised more signage 2 weeks ago to urge responsible tourism at the sea lion nursery. The Sierra Club's Seal Society wants the rookery closed to people, just like the nearby Harbor Seal Nursery. They have a couple of suggestions.
One strategy is to block off these stairs, which give people easy access to the beach.
The Society would also like to see more signage so visitors get guidance about appropriate behavior. It remains unclear when that promised signage would go up, and they want to see metal handrails on top of a short wall.
What we're arguing is that all this area here is a very low wall. People will often come down over this area. You can see the erosion that comes from that, and directly they are into an area with a lot of sea lions.
The Sierra Club is asking the city of San Diego to intervene to protect the fledgling pups. KPBS reached out to the mayor's office seeking comment. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
We all know home prices are high. Now we can tack on another 3%. That is the increase this past month on a median price home in our county. Get ready for this, $808,260. A year ago, the median price, $655,000, which is a 39% jump if you are counting. And as usual, a lack of inventory is being given as the main reason. Last month, home sales declined 3.2% countywide, but were a whopping 76% higher year over year, according to the California Realtors Association. If you have pets at home, they may have gotten used to having you around for the past 15 months. But now, as more of us return to work, those pets will have to adjust to their owners being away. Midday Edition spoke with Amanda Kowalski, Director of Behavior Programs at the San Diego Humane Society. She says it's important to give your dog or cat time to get used to the new routine. Practice leaving them alone for shorter periods of time and set up a camera to see how they are doing. You can also leave your pet with a frozen treat, which helps to enrich their day.
leaving your pet a popsicle when you leave, so that they have something a little bit longer lasting, that they can forage for that food. It helps stimulate their mind.
And if your dog loves being around other dogs, well, daycare programs could provide some social interaction and some exercise as well. Or you can consider hiring a dog walker so that your pup isn't alone for 8 or 10 hours while you're at work. In the Heights serves up a rare commodity, a big budget Hollywood musical created by a Puerto Rican American, directed by an Asian American, and featuring a racially diverse cast. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando explores what the wide release of a film like this can mean for the Latino and Latinx communities.
Let me just listen to my block.
It's truly a love letter to, to this neighborhood. I was in Washington Heights, I grew up there.
In the Heights won Calixto Chinchilla's heart from the first time he heard about Lin-Manuel Miranda's show set in the largely Dominican community of Washington Heights.
The unfortunate thing is that, the Heights is changing, the gentrification is real. A lot of us can't afford to be there anymore. It's a different neighborhood. So that even that movie becomes a time capsule, if you will.
Say it so it doesn't disappear.
Washington Heights!
In the Heights tells a particular story about one community, but Latino playwright Herbert Siguenza says that's not how Hollywood sees it.
They put us all in this one homogenous group, and it's just very unfortunate.
Unfortunate and problematic, says Ethan Vontillo, founder of the San Diego Latino Film Festival.
The problem is we put too much pressure on these movies because it's the one film of the whole year. This has happened many times. I've seen this over the years, right? All this pressure is put on this one film, and if it's not a success, then they say, okay, well, that's why. The audiences don't want to see their movies.
And we put a lot of pressure on them, because we want them to represent all of our feelings, all of our history, all of our nuances, and that's just impossible. It's just impossible.
Both Siguenza and Vontillo have grown jaded about Hollywood telling their stories.
I heard a lot of people celebrating, oh my gosh, in the Heights, it's going to be a big change, and we're going to see more Latinos in front of the screen than behind the screen. Unfortunately, I've heard that before. We've seen that a few times with other films.
Films like Zoot Suit, which challenged stereotypes 40 years ago.
It's always important to remember those who have come before us, and films like Zoot Suit paved the way for someone like Miranda to even make what he's currently made, and to Hollywood to even distribute what's being made.
For a young Latino filmmaker like Luis Martinez of 2 AM Burrito Productions, the film was a mixed bag.
I would have liked to seen a Latinx director have the reins of this, but it made me feel really good to see it on the screen, and made me feel really good that the studio put its money behind a project like that.
In the Heights, which opened in theaters and streaming on HBO Max, underperformed at the box office in Hollywood's eyes. But Martinez says that's an easy story to pitch an editor.
In the Heights underperforms. What does this spell for Latinx audiences moving forward? But I think the people that are going to make the next project are going to get the real streaming numbers from HBO. When you have access of dual releases online, every, HBO Max password out there is getting used by 3 or 4 different Latino families. That's close to 80 people that could have theoretically watched the movie during the weekend.
No matter how the film performed at the box office, the Latino community is excited about it.
Just kind of seeing how already families are already reacting via social media, just like the sense of pride and seeing oneself on the big screen.
But I think people are just reacting emotionally because we just don't see ourselves. We just don't see ourselves on film. We have tons of stories, but they're just not represented in Hollywood.
A lack of Afro-Latino representation in the film has stirred criticism. But with so few films focused on Latino characters, Martinez suggests supporting the film, but also recognizing its shortcomings.
As long as we have that conversation while still supporting it, so that more artists like myself and other artists that are out there creating content and telling stories in all genres have the chance to make more films is what I would like to see come out of this.
In the Heights pays tribute to old MGM musicals, and the big production numbers are worthy of the big screen.
This is big, explosive, big numbers. The way he opens it up and uses his imagination, he knows musicals.
Can we raise our voice tonight? Can we make a little noise tonight?
The way it's shot in anamorphic, and to hear it in the Dolby Theater, see this film the way it ought to be seen. This doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often at all.
little details that tell the world we are not invisible.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour Face Off, President Biden meets with Russia's Vladimir Putin on cyber warfare and more. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. California's reopening comes as the CDC is calling the Delta strain of the coronavirus a variant of concern. The more contagious strain originated in India and now makes up more than 90% of the cases in the UK. That's why doctors are urging everyone to get vaccinated so we can reach herd immunity. And it's being called the Great Resignations. A new survey finds more than 1 in 4 San Diego workers plan to look for a new job in the next several months. The Robert Hall research found employers should be prepared for the wave and that workers want better pay and greater opportunities. Many local workers also want a fully remote job as well as full-time contracting and an organization that better aligns with their personal values. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.